What I wish I knew before joining a franchise? It's never just about the shiny brochures. It's about the real stories, the stuff nobody tells you. This is Franchise Scoop Inspected and Approved, where we pull back the curtain on franchise brands. We cut through the sales pitch, grill the insiders, and call out the red flags, so you get the raw, unfiltered truth. Franchisee, franchisor, or just franchise curious? Hit that subscribe button. Smart franchising starts here. Let's get into it.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Franchise Scoop Inspected and Approved. I'm your host, DJ Flores, and with me is my co-host, Julie Harrell. Julie, thank you so much for doing this with me.
I'm so excited.
Me too. I can't wait to really get into this. I'm glad. So obviously, when I came back, you were the first one to reach out. We connected. I love what you're doing with Cooper Scoopers. The amazing growth you've had from the start. And so when you reached out and we connected, when I came back to Loyalty Brands, and then we got to talk. And you mentioned you had a podcast. I was like, you know what? We should do one. This would be fun. Let's get into this. Since you're president of Cooper Scoopers, I'm with the Inspection Boys. I thought, what better way than two presidents in kind of the systems in the game than to break down the game. And so,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're both in the home service business, so it definitely fits with each other. And then when DJ reached out to me, I said, I love to talk, so why not? Why not do another podcast?
Thank you for that, because I can't do this alone. I'll tell you, I've now done a few podcasts, but I always have to have a host. I freeze when I'm on that screen by myself. I give props to any podcaster out there who does this, just looking at yourself. I can't do it. I need to talk to somebody. So thank you for
Of course. This is going to be great.
So y'all, again, this is Franchise Scoop Inspected and Approved. And what we're really going to be doing is we do want to pull back the curtain on franchising. Not all franchising is the same. I know it sounds the same because they all call themselves a franchise. But like I was just telling Julie backstage before we went live, it's kind of like the idea of a Q-tip. A Q-tip is actually a cotton swab, not a Q-tip. That's the brand. And so it's not all the same. And that's kind of what franchising is. And I've been a part of, let's say, some brands that said they were franchising. And I do the quotations on purpose because it's not real franchising. And then there is the franchising like we do here with Loyalty Brands. And obviously the expertise of what John Hewitt and leadership here has perfected in this world. So I'm excited to get into this, but I want to find out more of you. So again, like I said, we got to talk, but when we connected, we got right into Loyalty Brands and right into what we're doing, but we never really got into our backstory. So kind of use this as almost an example of what it's going to be like interviewing our potential franchisors, founders, owners, or whoever decides to come on our show and get inspected. So if you are part of a franchise brand, please reach out. We'd love to have you on the show to break down your brand. So Julie, obviously pre-Cooper Scoopers, when was your first intro into franchise? Did you know you wanted to be part of franchising before
I had no idea.
Involved with Loyalty? No.
Well, so what's crazy, little tiny, like 7-year-old Julie, like just wanted to be a mom, and a teacher, like a school teacher. Okay. I think, a lot of, it's funny talking to my now 7-year-old and like some of her girlfriends, the influence, like their teachers can sometimes be like the most influential person in their life right now. So a lot of them say they want to be teachers, right? So it's I think it's definitely an age selection of what you want to be when you grow up. And I actually was first introduced to franchising. I had the ability in high school. I worked a bunch of random jobs, and they were like ice cream shop to a dog groomer to a Mexican restaurant. Like I was like, the world is my oyster right now, right? I didn't need a ton of money, just a little bit of gas money here and there. So I had I exposed myself to a lot of different jobs as soon as I was able to. And one of those jobs, actually, shockingly, was at Liberty Tax. I bet you didn't.
No kidding. I did not know that. No, I didn't. Okay. So you had an intro to John early then.
But I didn't know John. John didn't know. So
No, really.
I
Where did
worked
you work?
nights
Okay.
in high school. Worked nights at like the support ticket back office area, just handling support tickets. And I did that. I only did it for about 6 or 7 months, and then my goal at that time was always to go into healthcare. I wanted to follow into my mom's footsteps. So that small little window at Liberty Tax, I had a girlfriend that I went to high school with that had been working there for a while and knew John directly, but I never had any sort of connection to him at that time.
Okay.
But I always joke that John Hewitt puts like a small little tracker on people because he's like, if you if you are some sort of rock star, I will find you.
That is so funny.
Like,
I've explained that to a few people bringing into so Manny, one of our new franchises. Shout out Manny in Ohio, but one of our franchises. I said, and I think even Kelly at our recent convention had mentioned the same thing about it. We're all part of John's John's a master chess player, but I think he plays even the game of life and business the same. And so if he finds those little pieces like you're talking about, it's like, I see something in you.
Yep.
There's something for you. I just don't know what. And
it might be almost 20 years later, but I'll find you.
He did. He clearly did.
It's been awesome, but I definitely went down the healthcare path just because of one, my mom's work ethic and her drive. So I started there as soon as I left Liberty, and then created a career, almost decade-long career in healthcare management. Nursing school was where I started, but saw that I was thriving in that management and operational mindset and being able to kind of make bigger impacts for all of the patients, versus just one or two here and there, when it comes to insurance coverage and what their diagnosis was, right? So being able to understand all of that, especially nowadays. Unfortunately, with that, though, came my desire to no longer work in healthcare because it's turned into such a customer service based business. So it was just hard. Like, it was hard. And I was working 65-hour weeks. I drove 45 minutes across the high-rise bridge. If you're local here, this is before they just built the new, double lane high-rise bridge. So it's not, the traffic isn't as terrible. But I knew that I didn't want to continue down that path. So yeah, I stepped away, but it was also like very much God's timing for me to step away. My husband and I were starting our family, which we had a very unique process to bring our girls into the world. We went through some fertility struggles and surrogacy. And so I took on a project management role for our family at that time and was able to do that for about 2.5, 3 years to bring a healthy, beautiful little girl in the world. And again, like reflecting back on when I was able to do that and put, all of our time and energy and emotions into that. I have this child. I knew I wanted to go back to work. I was like, I love you, but I also love working. And that's okay as a mom.
Absolutely.
But I knew that I didn't want to go. I spent all this time, money, energy, effort to have this baby. And then I was like, I don't want to work 65 hours a week and spend 2 hours in the car every day. Like, I could be holding her and hanging out with her and watching her crawl. So I started looking and I was like, what can I do that's potentially remote, right? So then I can be with her in the morning before she goes off to grandma's house. And so I started utilizing my connections. People take for granted opening your mouth and saying, hey, I may be looking for an opportunity. You don't even have to go on a job board. I mean, you do, you should, but if you
I'm
tell
so glad.
people,
I'm so glad you said that. I'm
say
glad
what
you
you
said
want
that.
out loud, right, DJ?
Yes, yes, yes. You have to. You have to be willing to voice it. That's the only way it's going to be answered.
Right.
Again, write it or say it, and I promise you, there's a good chance it ends up happening. So be careful what you say. But I'm also so glad that you brought up about kind of finding that, because I think that's who we're reaching out to, and who might be watching these episodes, is somebody who's feeling in your shoes, who's like, hey, like, I don't kind of like this that I'm doing anymore. I don't like this world, and I want to be more with my family, to find that balance and that freedom.
Right.
There's nothing like it.
Right.
There's nothing like it. And so I'm so glad you shared that, because I think that's what a lot of our viewers, or people who are thinking of getting into franchising, that's why they're thinking of getting into it. Typically, it's somebody who did pretty, at least what I've seen, it's somebody who did fairly well in the corporate world, corporate structure, financially, and worked their way up. And now they're, like you said, they hit that almost like, I don't like this anymore. I don't like where I'm at. I kind of want to be with the people that I started this whole thing for. And so I'm glad you shared that. And I'm glad you said God's timing, because that's the thing I will tell everybody. Anybody who's watching this, don't get really frustrated with life. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. So and I'm 45. But literally, yeah, I think it is God's timing, and you just have to be patient with it, and be patient with yourself, and be patient with the journey. And that's, again, why I'm so excited that we're doing this, and really kind of pulling back the curtain, because, again, I think there are franchise systems that people get into that give them a bad taste of the franchise world, and
or
then it's just,
like, it's crazy how many consumers have a bad taste on
yes.
franchising. But then, like, at the end of the day, it's you go to a franchise probably almost every day. Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, right? So
I'm glad you must have been reading my mind. So I told Maggie, I said, I'm gonna get a chance, and I'm gonna blast finally the big corporate franchises.
Yeah.
So especially the food service, y'all. The small guys are gonna come destroy you all. I promise. Very soon they're coming. But my shot is at Arby's. Arby's, shame on you. Shame on your management. Literally, we went to Arby's yesterday. They promote their commercials. We got the meats, and guess what they didn't have? So we ordered mobile. I finally talked Maggie. We don't usually get Arby's, but I don't know.
You're like, I would love a roast beef sandwich with whatever Arby's sauce. And I used to go, my dad and I used to go there all the time, and I would they had a Frappuccino, which was just straight ice cream and sugar. You had a craving.
Yes. And so we brought it up, and I said, we don't ever really get this because it's just kind of expensive. Yeah. And so we did it. And so we order, she goes and picks it up, and they're out of roast beef. How is Arby's out of roast beef?
Arby's, if you need to sponsor our podcast so that you can afford roast beef
or at least have us manage your orders. Come on, y'all. That's terrible. But again, that's, I think, where you had mentioned the business, and I'm glad you went there with it. But this is where customers do get a bad taste in their mouth with franchising, because again, a movie I'm obsessed with, we'll talk a lot about on here, I'll definitely mention over and over again, is The Founder. And it's because I think that's a great example of what happens in that world. Once these franchise brands get to a certain level, just like really everything in life, they feel like they're untouchable, or they're too big to fail, or too big to get that bad reputation. Well, I promise you that's not true. Ask Kmart, or ask some other places. But literally, I think that what they're missing is what John does, and we do and really well, with being hyper focused on fanatical fans. The customers come first, and these brands lose that at some point. I don't know what it is, but they just lose that. And I believe it's because of their growth and the way that they manage their systems. You know, you mentioned Chick-fil-A. Again, huge chain, but they do things a little bit different.
Right.
Their franchising is totally different. And I don't think most people realize that it is different, because they just assume it's a franchise, just like a Taco Bell or McDonald's or one of those, but it's not.
Yeah, and I mean, Chick-fil-A does, I will say, that's where you have to make sure you're not on autopilot, right? Once you're, I think I lost you. Come back. But once you're on autopilot, when you've kind of reached maybe that certain customer number or revenue number that you had in your mind, you have to make sure sight of those customers. We're back.
I think I had a lag. I think that was my fault this time. I looked at our connection and I had a big X. So sorry, y'all. I have no clue what happened there. But
we worked through it. I was just talking about so going back to, you know, when you've hit that peak of busy or you've hit that revenue goal, then you are not focused on that customer service. Every single customer matters, not only because of their retention, but because of the referrals that you're receiving from every single customer. So you just have to make sure you don't kind of go on autopilot once you've reached, whatever goal. And what's funny is my local Chick-fil-A, it was about 6 months ago, maybe a little longer than that. My dad goes every Friday morning. We probably go once a week, once every other week, grab dinner, whatever. And my dad and I started chatting about it. And we were like, is the service going down? They forgot like a fry. They forgot this. They forgot that. And so it was probably 2 months after that. We kept getting, every week we got a free chicken sandwich on our app, on like our mobile app, specifically from that Chick-fil-A. So I think like they were having issues with their team, with their staff, you know, I don't know if it was just operationally or if it was a person, but they were like, okay, we have to get these people back. Like my dad was like, I'll drive 10 minutes out of the way to go to a different Chick-fil-A.
Shout out to your dad. Shout out Chick-fil-A. I agree. But do you know what I found interesting about the Chick-fil-A model? The franchise owner is just a smaller percentage. So it's almost like still a corporate store, which I think is a unique kind of twist to it. Which I didn't know. John, shout out John, but I think he's the one who mentioned that to me when we were talking about the difference of brands and how they kind of do it. But again, to your point, that's what they're known for. Wherever you go to a Chick-fil-A, it seems like they're very well trained on customer service. They're customer fanatic. They're even the way they respond, and whether it's I've been to Chick-fil-A's, and it doesn't matter what city or what area, honestly, of the country. It seems like they do a great job. So again, shout out to them. But I think what's crazy is another story you kind of triggered with that whole customer service and watch what you do. I go kind of into my background a little bit. So one of the first franchise kind of brands or worlds I was in was the cellular retail authorized dealer franchise world. So I ended up as just a sales rep, and then quickly a manager, and then regional manager for a company that was an authorized dealer for a prepaid phone service that was local to, and so regional to Ohio, but very similar to like a Cricket or a Metro PCS. So the prepaid stuff. And I'll tell you this, guys, again, anybody who has a company, has a brand, please take this advice, because what you said, Julie, is so powerful. It's the word of mouth, the negative reviews that you can get, and especially if a customer has a bad experience, they're going to go tell 10 to 50 people that they know right away, and they're going to remember that forever. So they're just going to keep promoting how bad it was. And I can tell you that from experience. So when I was managing that, we were trying to get our salespeople to be a little more aggressive on the sales side, but really understanding the benefits to commission. And so we tweaked. So we were first very high hourly and a low commission, and then we tweaked it to where it was a little bit lower hourly, but can make a lot more on the commission side. helped a ton. But I had a few kids who really took that to the next level in a bad way. And they started kind of selling, because then at a certain point, some of my stores were just trying to sell accessories for whatever they could. So they weren't even having a set price. They were really naming a price. And I didn't know this. It ended up getting found out. And we got, don't go to them. They rip you off. They're selling this. Don't go to them. And I'm like, hold on, what? And so me and the owner, we got together. We're like, this is not good. Like, what do we do? Like, we got to fix this. And so kudos, obviously, to Chick-fil-A for fixing and understanding their internal problems. And that's, we nipped it in the butt right away. We switched it. Had to talk to them. We're like, listen, guys, we love the aggressiveness, but you see the bad name you're getting. Like, there's two sides to this.
You might be able to charge what you want for to increase your commission.
No, you cannot. Do not do that. So any of you commission salespeople out there, especially in the broker world, value your customer. Keep the margins fair. Yeah. Everything has to be fair. Again, understand if it takes a lot more work, it's worth it. But make sure that it's fair. And that's the best advice that I would give there, and the value has to be there. Again, the customer is going to state that value in the end.
Right.
What something is worth is what something will pay for it.
Yep.
And if they start to give you the X, don't go there. They're bad. Yep. You just ruined it. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. But so
what did you do after the cellular dealer?
So I'll tell you. So I was there. I was there for 5 years, and then shout out to Brian. This dude he's only a few years older than me, but clearly this is when I realized, like, education and coming from a different world, you kind of have some greater experience. And so he was just so smart and really one of my first mentors, honestly. But he kind of seen the writing on the wall. So I'll kind of pull back the cover to franchising a little bit more. So he was an authorized dealer in Ohio for this company called Revel Wireless. He ended up finding out from them because he was really originally, him and his partner had stores across Utah, Nevada, Idaho, and Colorado for Cricket Wireless. So some of the franchise leadership ended up going from Cricket to Revel when they took over and talked him into, hey, expand out east, come with Revel. So he did. That's when he realized, and when I realized that not all franchising is the same. So that was really my intro into it's not the same, because even in that cellular retail world, Cricket did a lot of extra things for their franchisees as far as like co-op money for branding and promoting, where Revel did not. Now, whether it was because they were new or whatever the case was, he kind of seen the writing on the wall. And I'll tell you, it was almost like again, shout out to Brian, but he ended up selling. So we started with 7 stores. By the time he sold, I think we had 13.
Wow.
And then he sold to this couple who had never had a business before, did really well in the corporate world. And they things just fell apart for Revel in Canada. But I was so burnt out of retail, I knew I didn't want to do retail anymore. So I ended up getting into in-home sales. And so that was then my intro to the next franchise world, which again was totally different. So now I'm coming from 2 big franchises to, it was called at the time, I think they're still called Universal Windows Direct. But they were just recently bought by the largest home improvement company in the US called Great Day Home Improvement. And but I'll tell you, not the same. It was 2 friends who started that franchise. They didn't run it like Loyalty does. They kind of ran it internally. And so like we were so I actually expanded. And so I even, and again, I'm not going to beat them up. Or I'm not going to beat up brands too much when I'm on here, but it was not a good experience. I will tell you that. Expanding their franchise to Raleigh. So I ended up having an opportunity with one of the guys on our marketing manager. He had gotten an opportunity to franchise and expand Universal down to Raleigh, North Carolina area. And so I went down with him, And we started doing that, and it was like, hold on, why aren't you guys helping us? Like, we're part of you. Like, we came from you. Like, I would have thought they would have treated us like we were like their kids or something. Like,
Right.
we're going to help you, and they really didn't. And so, but again, we ended up doing all right. Great experience there, but really then gave me that idea of, okay, this is not all the same. Like, whether it's a franchise, whether it's this or that, everything's done a little bit different. And so that was really quite an experience there. And then from there, ended up getting into authorized dealer. It was the second largest dealer for ADT. So got to experience that world of being, again, back to the authorized dealer franchisor side of things. And then finally, before getting with John, I ended up the director of sales for the second largest franchisee for Roto-Rooter. And that was an amazing kind of experience and journey. Mark, it's funny. So Mark, very similar to John, was part of like the corporate world and kind of got the axe or the burn. And he's like, okay, I'm going to show you guys. So he actually was at corporate Roto-Rooter for the longest time. He probably would have been there forever. And just butted heads with some people and kind of got pushed out. And so he said, okay, I'll become a franchisee. And so he's their second largest franchisee.
That's amazing.
Did things his own way.
Right.
But I'll tell you, even that, Roto-Rooter, change your rules. And I'll tell you, the older franchises, here's what's funny. Last story, and then I want to get more into your background. But I actually, here's how I ended up part of Mark's team and the franchise side. So I ended up got burnt out. I actually ended up back from California to Ohio from my the ADT kind of experience and traveling the states, helping other offices and managers, and end up back in Ohio. I'm looking for something else. And Roto-Rooter. So I get a opportunity for a sales manager position to interview at Roto-Rooter. And this is crazy, and I was so shocked by it. But they offered me the job, but they told me I had to shave my face. They said I had to shave my face.
What year was
they said this was right. That's what I said. And here's what they said. This was their answer to me. So hopefully I don't get them in trouble for this. Please, I'm not causing any issues for this. I promise.
Arby's and Roto-Rooter, we're not coming for you.
They're coming for me now. But literally, they said it's. And they're one of the oldest franchises. They're over 100-year-old franchise.
Really?
So,
I had no idea. I'm gonna have
and
to
so their operations and everything is still from that time. And so they believed 100 years ago that if you had a facial hair, you couldn't be trusted as much. There's a chance you're shady. Just literally what he said that you can. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, my wife's not going to let me. You don't want to see me with no hair on my face.
I would tell my husband the exact same thing. I would be like, Stoney, I don't care what your job says. You're keeping your beard.
Oh yeah, that's what Maggie said. And so I said, okay, I wasn't going to do it anyways. But all right. And so sure enough, we ended up being on vacation. I get a call from somebody. We're visiting her parents down in Florida, and I get a call from somebody from Roto-Rooter, and I'm like, I'm not taking the job. Like at this point, I'm like, okay, it's settled in a little bit more. Like at first I was shocked. I didn't really give pushback or wasn't kind of angry from it. And then I'm like, this is like, really? Like you basically said to my face, because I have hair on my face, I might be a liar. You don't trust me. That's not good. And so I get to take the call. She's like, hey, this is Judy from shout out Judy, but Judy from Roto-Rooter. And I'm like, Judy, I'm sorry, I already interviewed there. You guys said I have to shave my face. Like I'm not doing it. She's like, she starts laughing. She's like, what? She's like, no. This isn't corporate. We're a franchise. We don't do things that way. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'm like, all right. So I went and interviewed with them. And then again, long story short, he ended up.
Is it in there? Is it in their franchise agreement?
That's a good question. I'll tell you, they're so old, their territories. I mean, that was the thing I realized, and that's the experience and kind of pulling back the curtain to the next level for you guys out there. With franchising, again, the young emerging brands that you can get involved in with, like us, the Inspection Boys or Cooper Scoopers, is territories are available.
Yeah.
Roto-Rooter, there's nothing available. I mean, these are mostly family generation passed down, especially back then. That's how a lot of these franchises were. So it was my dad and my uncles were plumbers, and now my son's going to be a plumber, and my grandson's a plumber, and it just kept going. And so a lot of those territories were already sold. So the way, and very strategic. So kudos to Mark, and kudos to Roto-Rooter to even allowing Mark to create this. But he created almost like we do with a group of franchisees to kind of talk and get together and talk over things, almost like the
NAC.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so he, but with that, he used that strategically to always plant the seed. Hey, if you're ever exiting out, come to me first. So then corporate goes to him before they put a franchise out. If somebody ends up wanting to sell it, they go to Mark first.
Yeah, it's a smart move. I mean, that's, very strategic, especially when you've become the second largest franchisee by doing your own thing. Bending the rules a little bit. I won't call him out as a rule breaker unless he didn't shave his face. And obviously, he's definitely a rule breaker.
He didn't shave his face either.
That is so wild.
Isn't that wild?
I mean, that's how, you have to be strategic. Now, I say that also knowing that there are systems and processes in place for you to make sure that you're scaling. And as a franchisee, you have to be so cautious to make sure that the tasks that you're doing are not are producing revenue and are not a distraction for the growth that you can potentially achieve, because all of this has been created for you. It's super exciting for Cooper Scoopers specifically because we have the ability to, because we are a newer brand, to be innovative when it comes to some of these decisions. Yes, we have the full playbook available for you, a marketing playbook. But again, as we know how quickly social media changes, we have that opportunity to push the boundaries and be a little bit more creative outside of a standardized box that a franchise that's 5 to 10 years old, again, that's going back to, this is the way we've always done it. Everything's been working. Well, are you growing at the rate that you could potentially be growing at if you turned off your autopilot that you're currently running your franchise at? I think
I'm so glad you shared that. I'm glad you shared that. And for y'all wanting to know more about Cooper Scoopers, be sure to join us next week. I'm gonna put Julie in the hot seat, and you'll kind of see a little bit of what our inspected and approved is about when we have a person of the brand on. But next week we will break down Cooper Scoopers, and then the following week, if you want to know about the young and emerging brand of the Inspection Boys, I will then be in the hot seat, and she will be putting the questions to me to see if we are inspected and approved. But man, this is so much fun. Honestly.
This is awesome. This has been a great initial episode. I'm so excited. I hope we had some excited live viewers, and if you weren't here live, please watch the recording. And next week we get to talk about poop.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought you could make 6 figures in poop? But you can, y'all. I promise. We're going to show you. But this is so much fun. And again, for anybody who did get to join us, thank you all. I don't know if we might be having issues. My thing jumping in and out. If you all did any comments or questions or share, please, if you have any questions that are digging at you that you want to know, or you're just curious, or you want to push back on brands, or you want to beat up a brand like I did. Again, I'm sorry, Arby's. I'm sorry, Roto-Rooter. But literally, this is what we're gonna. Again, we want to pull back the curtain. We want to really give you the inside scoop. Nope, pun intended. But we really just want to again give some education along with information and just some fun. So again, thank you, Julie. This is so much fun. I can't wait to break down Cooper Scoopers next week. and give it that stamp of inspected and approved. But again, y'all, thank you. Please be sure to watch the replay on YouTube. On the right now, it's on the Robinhood Capitalist channel. We are going to create its own separate channel. You probably will. I'm sure Loyalty Brands will share this out, hopefully, on the Loyalty Brands channel as well. So please be sure to follow and check out our episodes there, as well as we're going to be sharing these on Facebook and LinkedIn. So if you didn't get the chance to join us live, please, every week, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can find the Franchise Scoop, digging into the details of franchise and finding out, is it inspected and approved? So Julie, thank you again. This is so much fun.
We did it. Thanks, DJ. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.